Welcome to the Introduction to Marching block of training. By the end of this block of instruction, you will understand commands while marching and marching principles for the U.S. Army. For several commands, the foot equals the direction. This applies to flanks, columns, and to the rear. The pivots or turns are to the right. However, even without a certain direction of travel, there are still a few commands that must be called only on a certain foot, like change step, eyes right, and ready front. For some commands, halt, for example, the foot does not matter. Even so, consistently calling commands on the same foot, even though you may not have to, creates standardization, muscle memory, and familiarity that is helpful. For the best timing of commands while marching forward, call each command as the heel strikes the marching surface. When marching in place or backwards, call each command as the toe strikes the marching surface. The reason being is that the mind needs just a moment to process what was just heard to then put it into action, especially for new members, and that moment equals the travel of the foot as it transitions from the heel to the toe or vice versa. A typical method used by many cadets and explorers, and even some military, is to call long words with no definite start or end. Calling cadence using short, quick words is going to help the timing for everyone in formation. However, we actually count cadence in the military by counting to 4 twice, starting on the left foot. Using 2 sets of 4 counts is the military standard. During training, begin calling cadence to establish timing and taper off calling it as the formation members begin to better understand the tempo. In a performance, you really should never call cadence. This is not only for the formation commander, but also for the squad leaders. When marching forward with the squad leaders leading, the commander is centered at the left of the formation. Each command is given with the head and eyes turned toward the formation. When marching in front of the formation and moving to the left, commands are called over the left shoulder. When moving to the right, commands are called over the right shoulder. When standing in front of the formation and echoing commands, preparatory and supplementary commands are called over the right shoulder. Otherwise, the commander faces the formation. To take that first step forward, the command is forward march or half step march. By pushing down with the right heel and bringing the left foot forward, you create forward momentum, which is exactly what you want. The manual talks about imperceptibly shifting your weight to the right foot to take that first step. Pushing down with the right heel is much simpler and a better technique. If you use a metronome, which I highly recommend, you can see in the graphic here that the commands are called on the high tones and pauses are on the low tones. When we add counts, as we do in music, beats 1 and 3 are not only the commands, but are also when the left heel strikes the marching surface. Beats 2 and 4 are for the right heel. When using a metronome, the step-off must be metered, and by that I mean that the members of the formation must push down with their right heel on count 4 to then step off with the left on the next count. Pushing down with the right heel is going to create the momentum required for you to make the first step and remain at attention while not leaning forward. The tempo range is measured in steps per minute. As we march forward at a full 30-inch step or a 15-inch half step, the heel will always strike the marching surface. Marching and trying to dig the heel into the marching surface causes a jolt in the upper body. We want a smooth marching technique, so we push forward and allow the heel to strike the marching surface in the direction of the front arrow here. This movement allows the center of balance to smoothly move forward. What we don't want is a choppy step that forces the heel slightly backwards to dig into the marching surface, indicated by the red arrow. For both the 30-inch and 15-inch steps, the heel always strikes the marching surface first with a roll to the toe without stomping, slamming the heel down, or using a whole foot step. We stand with our feet at a 45-degree angle, with each foot pointed 22.5 degrees out from the center line. When we step off and continue to march, we do not want that foot angle because it not only looks bad, it is poor and unhealthy technique that negatively affects the ankles, knees, hips, and lower back. Our goal with the first and subsequent steps is a 0-degree angle outward or inward. To that end, the first step must be a transition to that 0 degrees. The second step requires the same transition. Reverse that transition when halting. Forward and backward step size is measured from heel to heel, and side steps are measured from inside heel to inside heel. If you walk in the sand or snow for several steps, stop and turn around, you can see that you could draw a line connecting all your right footprints, forming a single track, and the same for your left. I call these railroad tracks, and the distance between these tracks is called your walking base. You have a natural walking base of a few inches. Some people think that when they begin marching, something special must happen, and they either step over imaginary logs or they walk a tightrope. Walking a tightrope means placing one foot in front of the other. Another poor technique is what I call the ape walk, where the individual has a wider than normal walking base and sways from side to side. If one has poor walking technique, it will transfer into their marching. Remember, marching is walking at attention, nothing more than that in general. How you walk is going to affect how you march. If you walk poorly, you will march poorly. Walking is practice where you have created muscle memory that is shown in your marching. This leads us to how to march smoothly in a straight line. When marching as an individual or at the head of a single file column formation, pick a point in the distance and march for it. When there is more than one squad, the base squad leader must march toward the object, and the other squad leaders dress to the base squad. Bopping is bouncing up and down. Don't let the horizontal line in the distance move up and down. Do this by marching from the hips and not coming up on the toes at the end of each step. Sway is movement from side to side. Eliminate this by ensuring your walking base is not too wide. Again, marching from the hips is going to help. Don't let the vertical line in the distance move from side to side. Arm swing is 9 inches to the front and 6 inches to the rear, measured from the center of the thigh. As long as our feet are moving, we swing our arms from the first step to the last. Formerly called the face-in marching, going to the left, kick the left foot out to the left. When going to the right, the left foot is brought across the right and kicked out to the right. For both movements, the pivot is on the right platform. Step off in either direction with coordinated arm swing, and remember to create your walking base from the first step. To begin marching in place from the halt, the command is mark time, march. It is executed at quick time only and begun with the left foot. Just like marching forward, both feet transition to pointing straight forward. Normal arm swing is required. The measurement of how high to raise the foot off the marching surface is not very accurate. When we march in place, our foot should hang naturally, and that means the toe is the lowest portion of the foot, with the heel being the highest when the foot is raised. Most likely what is meant is the toe is brought up 2 inches. To march in place properly, the toe leaves the marching surface last and strikes first. Marching in place and placing the whole foot or even the heel down first creates a jarring sensation that can be felt and seen. We want smooth transitions when moving the feet up and down. Not placing the toe first can lead to stomping, which can also lead to increasing the tempo. The ankle travels up and down the center of the opposite leg. Feet should be parallel. To march in place while marching, the command is given on 2 consecutive left or right heel strikes, with 1 more forward step and then executing mark time on the following step. To march forward, the command forward march is given as 2 consecutive left toes strike the marching surface. 1 more mark time step is taken with the right foot, and the next step is forward. Halt from mark time is called on either foot and accomplished the same as halting while marching forward, with a transitioning end step and a final step. More on the end step in a moment.